Well, good morning. Nice to see all these familiar faces and a new face as well. If y'all don't remember, my name is Jerrica. That's how you spell it. And I will be presenting to you alongside my beautiful co-host today, Marcy.
Hi.
Marcy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Marcy. Well, my name is Marcela, but I go by Marcy. It's just easier to say. I'm a dietetic intern, and I've been at JTA for 2 weeks now. I'm doing my community rotation, so I've been watching Jerrica and other dietitians. She says to make sure that she's doing her job right, but it's so that I know how to do my job right once I become a dietitian. So I'm following whatever she's doing.
And so we are really excited to present to you today, if y'all couldn't see, about stress. Now, if y'all don't remember from the last time, is health and wellness solely defined by healthy eating? Yes or no? No. What are some other things that we have to consider when we're truly trying to achieve health and wellness? Sleep?
Exercise.
And?
Exercise.
And? What we're talking today?
Stress.
Managing our stress. Yes. Hey, girl, you were on a roll. Absolutely. Now, today, we're really going to be talking about how stress evolves, what can cause stress, and how our body actually responds to stress. Now, we have to ask ourselves the infamous question, what is stress? And I know we've all felt it, but I'm going to put words to describe that feeling today. And that stress is an involuntary physical and physiological response to a stressor, aka like a stimulus, right? Now, who knows the difference between what is physical and what is physiological? Who knows the difference? Oh, well, great, guys. That's what I'm here for. So physical is how we can kind of act. It's kind of what we can see. It's a physical response to something. Whereas physiological is kind of what's going on underneath within the body, right? So physiological has to deal with some things that we can't necessarily see, but that sometimes we can sometimes feel. Now we have to ask ourselves what actually regulates those physiological responses in our body. And a part of that is our autonomic nervous system. Now our autonomic nervous system is actually a part of this larger nervous system called the peripheral nervous system. Now, the autonomic nervous system itself regulates those involuntary physiological responses such as heart rate, breathing, digestion, and even blood pressure. Now, amongst the autonomic nervous system, it kind of has 3 divisions underneath it. We have our sympathetic, which is that fight or flight response. We have our parasympathetic, which is that rest and digest. And we have an enteric system, which controls kind of like our gastrointestinal tract, the GI tract. Now, what's characteristic of the sympathetic system is that the sympathetic nervous system predominates during that fight or flight response, where that system is physiologically preparing ourselves to endure or participate in strenuous physical activity. Now, what happens during this fight or flight response is we actually see that our blood sugars start elevating. We see that our heart rate begins to increase, which causes vasoconstriction. So vasoconstriction, does that mean our vasculature is coming in or it's coming out? Coming in, right? Now, with that being said, if our vasculature is coming in, what do you think is going to happen to our blood pressure? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? It's going to go up, right? Now, also that vasoconstriction is important because what it's doing is it's actually preparing the blood to shunt away from those non-essential organs that we may not need during fight or flight. So with that being said, as we have this blood flow shunting away from our diet, from those like non-essential organs, such as our digestive tract, we can also anticipate what? An increase in our digestive motility or a decrease? Decrease, right? Because if blood flow is shunting away from an organ, Is it active or is it on pause? If blood flow is shunting away, exactly, it's on pause. Now, conversely, our parasympathetic system is infamously known as rest and digest, or I just found this out today, feed and breed is how I guess, yeah. But I didn't feel the need to add that on for a later recording, you know what I mean? So our parasympathetic system is actually activated when we're in a calm or safe environment. So we find that our pupils begin to constrict so that we can see things near. We find that our heart rate decreases. We see that our salivary glands actually increase because now we're preparing to eat, right? We see bladder relaxation so that we can go ahead and urinate, let all those little toxins out. And of course, we see an increase in just our overall digestive processes. Now, of course, we have to ask ourselves what kind of things determine what system is active. And those are our infamous stressors. Now, granted, we know that stressors do not necessarily come from the environment alone. The environment can include work, family, relationships, but we also have to consider those other aspects of our health as well, mental, emotional, physiological stressors as well. Now, when we think about stress, we know that stress, those physiological responses, is regulated by what nervous system? Starts with an A. Autonomic. There we go, right? Now, within the autonomic nervous system, there's 3 divisions. What are the 3 divisions?
Sympathetic.
Sympathetic. Anyone else? Parasympathetic. There's one last one. It starts with an E. I know y'all know it. You know it. Yeah. Enteric. Enteric. Remember the GI tract, right? Now, of course, when we think about stress, we can divide stress into 2 things, acute and chronic. Now, with acute stress, this is a short-term stress that results from an immediate stressor or a challenging situation. So if we have a deadline, acute stress. If we accidentally touch something hot, acute stress, right? If we're facing just a quick deadline at work, or a Zoom meeting is running late, or there's traffic, acute stress, right? Now, of course, with acute stress, we have some fight or flight responses, right? What system begins to take over, parasympathetic or sympathetic? If it's fight or flight?
Sympathetic.
Sympathetic, right? So we see that our pupils dilate because by dilating, we're able to see in a distance, right? Fight or flight. We see that our saliva actually decreases. We see that our motility decreases as well, because is our digestive tract on pause or is it active during fight or flight? It's on pause. We also see that our heart begins to beat faster. We see that with an increased heart rate, do we have vasoconstriction or vasodilation? Constriction, right? We now begin to see that our lungs, we're trying to optimize how much oxygen we're taking in for increased oxygen flow. So we can sometimes begin to see hyperventilation, quick, short breaths, correct? I feel like I'm giving y'all trauma, taking y'all back to like a traumatic, stressful event. We also see that our muscles begin to tense up because with contraction, we can go ahead and perform, right? Now, those are all forms of that short-term stress caused by an immediate challenge or an immediate stressor. Now, when we think about chronic stress is where we have this stressor, right? So some stressors include, what did we talk about? What are some stressors? Family. You went straight for family. You're absolutely right. Work. What was it? Finances, right? Even devices. All of those stressors over a prolonged amount of time can contribute to chronic stress. Now, the problem is not the stress itself, and we're going to get into that. But what becomes a problem is prolonged exposure without proper management to that stressor is what can significantly increase our risk for things like heart disease. Now, of course, with chronic stress, we can begin to see over time prolonged side effects that can lead to headaches and migraines. We can actually see muscle loss. We can see fertility issues. We can see skin and hair conditions where either skin and nails are brittle or we're not growing it. We can also see hyperventilation. We can see panic attacks, anxiety attacks. We can see restless sleep. Now, once again, this is when that stressor is prolonged and improperly managed. Now, we have to ask ourselves how chronic stress and heart health related. And that research is showing that actually some of these stressors are literally heartfelt and that they can directly affect the functioning of the heart. And of course, that right there can affect other parts of our lives and our physiological responses. Now, in regards to chronic stressor, which chronic stress, is that prolonged stress or is it a short-term stress? Prolonged, right? So we find that a women's health study found women whose work is highly stressful have a 40% increased risk of heart disease, to include heart attack, stroke, atherosclerosis. Fun stuff, isn't it? Yes. We also find that in 2010, researchers found rates of heart attacks increased as the stock market crashed. Because that was not a one-day thing, was it? No. We also found that the Nurses' Health Study found women who cared for disabled spouses or who took on more of a caregiver role for at least 9 hours a week were significantly more at risk for having a heart attack or dying from heart disease. And of course, after the fatal and unforgettable attacks of 9/11, we also found that those with high levels of stress were 2 times as likely to develop hypertension, aka high blood pressure, and more than 3 times as likely to develop heart problems following 2 years after those with lower stress levels. Now, little quiz time. Sorry, y'all remember this, right? Quizzes. When you are stressed, do y'all eat to calm down? Do any of us eat to calm down? Okay, let's hear it. Do we speak or maybe eat very fast? Yeah? Drink alcohol or smoke? Okay, good. I was about to say. Do we rush around, right? Like we're highly active, very alert, but productive? Do you may work too much? When you're stressed, you find yourself working more, okay? What about procrastination? My favorite P word. Yeah, that can be me. Sleep too little, or in fact, too much. Do you ever slow down to where you're almost at a halt? Do you try to do too many things at once, aka multitasking? Yes, ma'am. Now, all of these activities, engaging in these activities may actually show that we're not adequately managing our stress. And that is where we run into problems. Stress is inevitable. Sometimes we can't control the chronic stress. We can't typically control the acute stressors as well. But how we manage it is what's going to set us apart and, of course, reduce our overall risk for chronic diseases. Now, getting into the different types of stress. Now, we've gone over the autonomic nervous system. We've gone over the 3 divisions underneath it. Now, the autonomic nervous system controls voluntary or involuntary physiological processes. Involuntary, right? Then we went ahead and discussed the 2 different types of stress, chronic versus acute. Which one happens really sudden and is typically for a short period of time?
Acute.
Acute, right? But now we're going to get into basically good versus bad stress. Now, question for you all, is all stress bad stress? No. We actually find that we have a helpful stress, eustress, in which this stress or perhaps this little bit of nervousness can actually help us get through a stressful situation. We find as well things such as exercise. Exercise is considered stress on the body. However, that short-term period of stress is actually outweighed by the long-term benefits of physical activity. We also find that a little bit of stress, helpful stress, can actually promote creativity, solution, problem solving, innovative ideas, solutions. So there is benefit to a short-term amount of stress. However, imbalance can, of course, cause us to experience more of an extreme stress. And that extreme stress is once again where we have we have exposure to a stressor for a chronic, more long-term amount of time. And we find that it can not only manifest in physical ways, it can also manifest and affect our emotional, mental, social, and even physiological health. Now, overall, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, how are we feeling so far with this information? It's a little bit more science-backed. We introduced ourselves to some new language. How do we feel so far?
Good.
Yeah? Is any of it resonating with us? Yeah? Okay. Now, I want to hear the feedback. Pop quiz, but this is more of like the short answer. Sorry, not even multiple choice. What are the main differences between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems? Come on, y'all. I know y'all know. Let's think about it. Parasympathetic, rest and digest, or fight or flight? Parasympathetic. Rest and digest. Perfect. Sympathetic. Rest and digest or fight or flight? There we go, right? What happens to our heart rate in parasympathetic? Does it increase or decrease?
Decrease.
It decreases. What happens to our digestive function in sympathetic? Increase or decrease?
Increase.
Oh, decrease.
Oh.
Remember, think of this as sympathetic. We're running from a lion. Fight or flight. Do you think that's going to be the best time for your body to be like, oh my gosh, let's eat? No, right? So sympathetic is that fight or flight. Our body is preparing us to endure and participate in more strenuous physical activity. All right, guys, that was the first portion. Are we ready for the second? Yeah? Okay, so Marcy is going to go ahead and take over for us. And now we're going to transition into how we can actually manage and prevent some of those stressors.
This isn't as sciencey, so it's more of a lenient portion of it. So when it comes to stress prevention, it's all about the way we're managing it. So like Jerrica was saying, the way that you manage your stress is the way that it affects everything else. So that can be through physical activity, sleep, a well-balanced diet, and our coping mechanisms. So our first one is physical health. And so staying physical activity. So staying physically active has benefits for our overall health in maintaining our weight, our heart, our muscles, but it also has a very big benefit on reducing our stress. So when we work out, it boosts our feel-good endorphins in our brain, and it kind of acts as a form of meditation. So while we're working out, do I still come at it? Did I go too far? So while we're working out, we kind of shift our focus. And so we're focusing more on, okay, I got to get through this run, or I got to lift this heavy weight, get through this Pilates class, whatever you're doing. And it kind of takes your focus away from your regular stresses. So you're not thinking about work anymore. You're not thinking about your family or your finances. You're thinking about how hard this workout is, or let's just get this workout done. So you shift your focus. It improves your mood, and it improves your sleep quality. And sleep is something that we'll talk about next. It's kind of a complex situation with sleep and stress. So right now, the physical activity recommendations are at least 150 minutes per week of aerobic activity. So that can be a brisk walk or swimming. And that's looking like 30 minutes. 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 days a week. But that doesn't have to be all at once. If that 30 minutes is a little bit scary for you, you can maybe split it up and do 15 minutes right now and then do 15 minutes later, or 10, 10, 10, whatever works best for you. And then if you want to eventually get up to your 30 minutes and do your 30 all at once, then that's great. Just take it, little by little and make the 30 minutes your goal. But if you're someone who likes doing more vigorous activity like hiking or running, that is not me, definitely not me, then you want to go for 75 minutes a week. But also any form of physical activity is better. So if you think that, or is beneficial. So if running isn't your thing, if Pilates aren't your thing, if yoga isn't your thing, if hiking isn't your thing, that's okay. You do what you like. Doing an exercise or doing some sort of physical activity that you don't like and you don't find joy in just brings more stress to you. And my husband thinks that I'm crazy for saying this. He's like, I don't know anyone who gets in a bad mood after working out. But sometimes I do the Peloton and some classes are so hard that it makes me mad. Because I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not enjoying myself. I can't keep up. This is so hard. So I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to do that lady. I'll do this guy. This guy's easier. He's fun. I like his music. So find something that you enjoy. And that can be walking, stair climbing, jogging, yoga, dancing, even gardening. You don't have to necessarily be in a gym or outside on a walking track for it to be physical activity. I clean my house a lot, and it's not the cleanest, which is weird because I clean all the time. But if you, or when I put my watch on to track my activity while cleaning, I burn a lot of calories, and it's almost like I got a whole workout in. So just because you're not in a gym or in your leggings or anything, but you're being active, that still counts for physical activity. Walking around HEB, walking through a mall, if walking through a mall makes you feel better about walking, then that counts as physical activity. Okay, and then sleep. So I just said, sleep gets a little bit messy when it comes to stress because it's not easy to sleep when you're stressed. But adequate sleep is really important for our good health overall. Getting our 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night helps calm chronic inflammation. It improves mood, and it also increases our energy. So the next day we're able to better tackle those life stresses. But I know that if you don't get good sleep, then the next day you're in a bad mood, and then you're more stressed, and then you don't sleep very well, and it becomes a cycle. So there's ways that we can get around that, or little things we can do to kind of help our sleep and get better sleep. Does anybody actually get 7 to 9 hours in a night? You do?
I get at least 7.
Good.
My average loss.
Awesome. You said no.
No,
How many do you get?
5.
Five?
Depends on the night.
Okay. If you're stressed or if you just don't sleep good, then you get a little bit less. Yeah. I get a lot of sleep. And sometimes I'm not always in the best mood because I feel like I want more sleep. Sometimes I need the 10, 11. I know that's a lot. I don't get that, okay? I don't get 10 hours of sleep. So tips for better sleep. Journal or write down any persistent thoughts before bed. So I do this, but I don't necessarily do it as journaling like, oh, today I had a good day. Today I feel stressed. I do it in writing down a list. So I prioritize what is stressing me out right now and what I have control over right now. If I feel stressed over, I don't know, maybe an assignment I have due next month, I can do it right now, but what's more important, my car payment that's due this week or an assignment that's due next month? So I kind of prioritize my stresses, I guess, and have a more structured kind of mind before I go to bed, and that helps me kind of make a plan for the next day. Okay, tomorrow, well, I'm not going to make my money tomorrow, but tomorrow I'll do this, this, and this, and tackle those stresses for tomorrow. And then next week I'll do this, this, and this to tackle that. And eventually you kind of start making your list a little bit shorter, but that kind of helps put a better perspective on everything you have coming your way. Or what you have on your plate right now. Doing a short meditation or breathing exercises before bed. Doesn't have to be a whole yoga thing. If you just want to lay in bed and take a couple of deep breaths in, deep breaths out. What's that 4-point thing that they do? 4 breaths in, 4 counts. Hold it for 4 counts, let it go for 4 counts, and then stay out for 4 counts. A couple of times over. 10 minutes alone of meditation or breathing exercises can be really beneficial before going into bed. Exercising daily, like we just talked about, has a lot of benefits. Again, doesn't have to be a hard workout, just a little walk or a quick pickup around your house, walking to HEB. Those things can have some benefits for sleep. And avoiding any overconsumption of caffeine or alcohol. So if you are someone that maybe drinks coffee or tea all day long, but you think, oh, it doesn't affect me, I still fall asleep. You're falling asleep right away, but maybe you're not getting the best sleep throughout the night. Or maybe you're not realizing how much it impacts your sleep. So you can try cutting down maybe at 2 o'clock and seeing how that affects your sleep. Maybe you'll get better sleep. And alcohol, we said we don't drink, so we're not worried about that one. And establishing a relaxing nighttime routine. This can be, for me, it's picking up my kitchen, making my coffee, doing my skincare routine, and then going to bed. I know that I have these things coming, so when I go through them, I feel relaxed. Okay, my house is clean, my face is clean, I can get into bed and be kind of worry-free. So making a good little nighttime routine for you can be really helpful for better sleep. Maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. I think that this is a really good one because when we have babies or grandkids, we often think about, well, they have to be in bed by 9 o'clock or they're going to be really fussy the next day or they're not going to sleep throughout the whole night. But somewhere along the way, we lose that kind of same thought for us. You know, we should also be in bed by, well, I say 10:30, but whatever time you want to be in bed by. And if you go past that, then maybe you're not going to have the best sleep. Maybe you won't be in the best mood the next day. So it's really important that you also stick to your sleep schedule the way you do with your grandkids or with your kids. And avoiding electronics for at least 30 minutes before bed. That one's really hard for me because I fall asleep on my phone sometimes. But that blue light that we get from our phone, so that actually suppresses the melatonin that our body makes. So it makes it harder for us to fall asleep. Sorry. So it makes it really hard or harder for us to fall asleep. So maybe easier said than done, but leave your phone or start leaving your phone 30 minutes before bed or your tablet, your iPad, whatever it is you use, and maybe pick up a book or lay in bed. Maybe it'll take you a little bit longer to fall asleep and you're kind of just laying there, but do those breathing exercises. Think about, I don't know, think relaxing thoughts. But leaving your phone 30 minutes before bed will have a big impact on our sleep. And again, I know it's easier said than done because we have our phones and our TVs everywhere, but it can have a big impact. And eating a balanced diet, including a light bedtime snack. So if you're really hungry before bed, then maybe you're not going to fall asleep right away. You're not going to get good sleep because you're thinking, I'm so hungry, or your stomach is rumbling. So you can have a good little snack before bed, like maybe some toast with some almond butter or some apples with peanut butter, something kind of light but balanced that'll kind of keep you through the night and help put you to bed. And so with balanced eating, we said right now when we're feeling stressed, we want to eat. And that kind of tends to be the bad stuff. Like I don't think that anyone is like, oh, I'm really stressed, let me grab an apple and I'll feel better. Typically we go for like ice cream or potato chips, or maybe we're like, oh, I'll just go to Whataburger and get a burger and some fries. So we kind of tend to go for the bad stuff. But the bad stuff may feel good in the moment, but it won't really help us feel better in the long run. So you want to go for a balanced diet or more balanced foods. And there's some stress-busting foods. Complex carbs, so our whole grains. Our whole grains, they give us a steady supply of serotonin, and we refer to that as that feel-good hormone. So that kind of helps keep us less stressed. Our oranges, like our vitamin C, like our oranges. But we also get vitamin C from bell peppers, from strawberries, from broccoli, from some berries, right? And spinach. So spinach is really high in magnesium, and magnesium helps ease those effects of stress. And I don't know if you all have seen, like on Facebook and stuff, people are taking magnesium at night to help with their stress and to help them sleep better. But you can get a lot of magnesium from just food. You don't necessarily have to take a supplement. So spinach is a really good one. If you don't like spinach, you don't like the taste of it, you're not a salad kind of person, then you can put your spinach in a smoothie. And so it'll change the color of it, but you won't be able to taste it. So that's always my best trick for adding more greens to your diet, is putting it in a smoothie. And then our fatty fish. So we know that our fatty fish are really high in omega-3s, but omega-3s are not only good for our heart health, but also for reducing those like surges in stress hormones. Yeah, so it's actually really interesting because I feel like everything comes full circle. Okay, omega-3s are good for your heart, they're good for this, they're good for that, but they're also good for stress. And so when you look at it and when you look at the big picture, everything just kind of comes together like a puzzle, right? Black tea provides a calming effect and can aid in stress also. So in calming your stress. And studies have shown that black tea helps decrease that cortisol hormone, which is our bad or stressful hormone. So that's something good to go for. But black tea also has caffeine, right? So I would kind of not have it, maybe not like your bedtime tea, because no, not your bedtime tea, but have it a little bit earlier in the day, and that can help with your stress. And pistachios. Pistachios are a good snack. They have healthy fats, and our healthy fats help lower our cholesterol. They ease our inflammation and also protect against the effects of stress.
Chamomile tea is soothing.
Yeah, it is.
That would be nice to drink in the evening.
Yeah, and I don't think chamomile has caffeine, so that can be a good bedtime tea. I know Trader Joe's and I think H-E-B has their own version of it. They have a sleepy time tea, and it's chamomile and I think like mint and like a good combination of things that does not have caffeine. Avocado. So avocado is high in potassium, and we typically think potassium bananas, right? But avocado is also really high in potassium, and potassium is great for lowering your blood pressure. So that's something good to add into our diets. And almonds, another healthy nut, really rich in vitamin E, helps support our immune system, has B vitamins, and B vitamins are kind of resilient to stress. So another thing that you can snack on, pistachios, almonds, walnuts, those are good options. And raw veggies. So I actually did a little assignment on this in grad school. But raw veggies, they're pretty crunchy, right? Like bell peppers or carrots. And that mastication, is that how you pronounce it? In your jaw helps kind of ward off that tension. So some people, when they're stressed, they go for gum or, I don't know, like chewy things. That, I don't know, I guess like the working of your jaw helps them release that tension and makes you feel a little bit better. So you can always do some raw veggies, maybe with some ranch or a hummus dip, or a yogurt dip, or tzatziki sauce. I like tzatziki sauce to go with veggies. Milk. Growing up, my grandma drank warm milk before bed, and now I know why. It's really rich in calcium, and so that kind of helps ease your stress and anxiety, and it can also help with mood swings and any kind of PMS. Do you guys drink milk before bed? No? I don't really hear it that often anymore, but my grandma was a big fan of, and now it makes sense, she's not that stressed right now, but she was a very big fan of bananas in her warm milk before bed, and so it kind of makes sense. I get it now. She had the right idea. And a bedtime snack. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier. A light snack with carbs can help with the serotonin before you go to bed, and so kind of puts you at ease. It releases that feel-good hormone, and if you're hungry closer to bedtime, then that can kind of help you get through the night. Okay, and then managing our stress. So it comes in, or there's different ways that we can manage our stress with different kinds of strategies. So implementing time management skills. If you know that you have a really busy day in the morning, or if you know waking up you have a really busy day and you don't really have anything ready for your day, like I know I wake up at 7:30 and I have to pack lunch to eat here, well, breakfast to eat here, a snack to have here, and then lunch to have here. And then when I leave here, I go to work. So I work from 3 to 8. So I need to take lunch part 2, snack part 2, and then a little dinner. So I eat a lot throughout the day, okay? But I'm also pregnant, so that's why I eat a lot. So I know that if I don't pack that in the morning, then I'm gonna have a really hard day. And that's gonna lead to stress because I know I'm hungry, I don't have food, or I'm hungry and I need to rush out of here so I can go get food before I go to work. And that will probably be something fast, like maybe Chick-fil-A or Whataburger. So that kind of puts me in a little bind, right? So if I wake up earlier or if I prepare with time, then I can wake up knowing that my lunch is set, my snacks are set, my dinner is set. And so I'm managing my time a little bit better rather than waking up late and not having anything set and then throwing off my whole day. So kind of just setting yourself up for success. That's my example. I don't know what you all do. So anything that works better for you, whether it be I don't know, waking up early or making your grocery list before you go to the grocery store, just setting yourself up for success. And taking intentional breaks. So me and Jerrica were talking about this the other day. Sometimes we don't take breaks. One, I know I was not a very big break person because I wanted to show that I was a hard worker. So I'd be like, no lunch for me. I don't need lunch. No, don't worry. Like, I'm fine. And I would work through my lunch. And then it was, it's a whole hour that you have to yourself, and I wouldn't take it. So I would be hungry, I would be in a bad mood, and I'd just be kind of stressed. So sometimes when we do take those breaks, they're not necessarily intentional. So we can sit there on our phones, or just kind of scrolling through maybe Amazon, or just not really taking a break. So when you get that lunch break or you take that break during your day, make sure it's an intentional break. Sit down, kind of regroup yourself, think about what you have to do, or don't think about what you have to do. Just sit and just sit. Sometimes it's really hard for us to just sit and do nothing because we always want to be doing something. So I know that when I do take my break, if I'm on my phone, I'm like, oh shoot, 20 minutes already? Like I didn't even do anything. I just sat on my phone the whole time watching TikToks. That wasn't a break. Like I was on my phone, my eyes hurt. I have all these things in my head now and I didn't get to break. So make sure you're taking your intentional breaks. Incorporate mindful activities into your daily routine and practice self-care. So self-care can be drinking your water, eating your fruits and vegetables, having a balanced diet, going for your walks, doing that physical activity, doing your skincare routine, or doing anything that brings you joy. Just remember to take care of yourself after a stressful day. Oh, quiz. Oh, who put that there? So what are some of the benefits that are associated with good sleep?
You're rested.
Well rested, yeah. Oh, well, my finger slipped, now you know. It calms chronic inflammation, improves your mood, and increases your energy. What's on there?
It's good for your brain.
Improved it, yeah, good for your brain. Improves your attention, your focus, and your concentration. Lowers your blood pressure. Reduces your risk of diabetes and coronary heart disease and stroke. So a lot of good things come with it. And which has the most stress-busting benefit? Pistachios? Yes. All of the above. Do you guys remember why? Potassium, yeah. What has more potassium, a banana or an avocado? What has more potassium, potassium or an avocado? What did I just say? What has more potassium, a banana or an avocado? Avocado. And milk. What's the benefit in the milk?
Calcium.
The calcium, yeah. Okay, girl. And this was from the way beginning. What are the 4 pillars of wellness? Oh my gosh. Okay, I was like, what is going on? I didn't put it. But do you guys remember what they were from the beginning? Yeah, you got it.
Exercise and sleep and eating well and not being stressed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy eating, sleep, exercise, managing your stress. Yeah. And make sure you breathe. And that's it for me.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
All right, guys, y'all got me again. Sorry. Well, so of course, we do have, there's a plethora of information and resources out there that are, of course, available for us in a way that we can better manage our sleep, our eating, our stress, and of course, our physical activity. Now, of course, if you are ever interested in discussing these different facets of your life, you can always reach out to experts within the field, such as a dietitian. But of course, it's not limited to us. We have dietitians, we have exercise scientists, we have sleep scientists, we have physical therapy, we have personal training. So there are so many different avenues in which we can improve and better our health. Now, of course, with today, we discussed a lot of great information. To kind of compartmentalize some of that information, I want us to think of it in this way. Our health and our healthy and balanced eating, our sleep, our stress, and our exercise are all kind of their own areas. There's different professionals within each area. There's different credentialing processes in each area, different educations in each of those areas. However, I want us to think of it as a cycle, and that each dimension can actually influence and be influenced by the other. So that's where in these conversations, when we begin to learn more information, I want us to be able to organize it in a way where we recognize that there's so many different areas of our life that influence and are influenced by others. Now, that being said, questions, comments, concerns, and my favorite part, compliments. How are we feeling?
Great presentation.
Oh, thank you, God. Where are the rest compliments? Come on, guys. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. All right, how are we feeling though with the information? Like, what resonated with us?
The need to manage stress.
The need to manage stress, okay. I want to hear from some other participants as well.
Types of stress.
The types of stress, right? What else? How are we feeling with the information? I know you want to say something. I was like, I know you're behind the camera, girl, but I'll find you. What are some other things that you feel kind of apply, not necessarily to yourself, but what you observe in other people? What are some of those things that we talked about today? I want us to apply it outside of this room, basically. How are we feeling with it? So with that being said, I mean, this also comes to deal with boundaries, right? And that we're creating boundaries for ourselves, which can oftentimes be uncomfortable. And so, granted, I feel like as women, we are raised to do a lot of things. And there was a quote by one of the first ladies, Michelle Obama, in which she said, we raise our girls and we praise our boys. And so it can be extremely challenging beginning to grow and try and foster all these different areas of our lives, and when we do, kind of feeling like we're selfish. And so that's where it is never too late to set those boundaries for yourself and prioritize your own health and wellness, because at the end of the day, all of these stressors will always be here. All of them. Work, finances, all of it's going to be here, but we are not. So hopefully with today's conversation, we were able to give back to ourselves a little bit, right? And begin to learn how to apply those boundaries for ourselves so that we can take care of our health and wellness. We can take care of our sleep, our stress, and of course our physical activity. That's all we got for y'all today, guys. Go in peace.